Great.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
We're on the video. We
Yeah.
got some video. We got some audio. Guys, we're so legit. We're so legit. We're too legit to quit. So,
legit to quit.
welcome to the episode, guys. I'm your co-host, Warren Haney.
And I am your co-host, Nick Vogel. On today's podcast, we have such a cool guest. His name is Jerrell Williams. He's a TikTok star, actor, veteran, and alien lover. He's incredible.
Right. Already that should just be grabbing your guys' attention right there. And, you know, it's been nice. I've known this guy since the beginning of this year. We were on a project together. And through that time, we've been able to go pretty close. And, yeah, we talk about so many different things. It was such a fun conversation, especially now that we're doing this video content too. And honestly, I think we talked about a lot of things ranging from art and to him being a TikTok personality to us and our community as far as Americans during this serious time. So it's been quite a good conversation. I'm excited for you guys all to listen to it. So
I'm excited
yes.
too. Woo!
Right.
Okay.
I know.
So, without further ado, welcome on our guest, Jerrell Williams.
All right, welcome on. Bow, bow, bow.
Chicka chow.
Bow. Nick can get it, man.
It sounds like it.
Here we go.
Put a microphone in front of him, man, and it's like, he goes hard, man. Jerrell, thanks so much for coming on, man. This is awesome.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you were just telling me, like, you just lost your wallet, so
So I should be here right now.
I need to be out searching for my wallet. But, you're here. So that just proves to me that how much you care. And I just really, we really appreciate that.
It's too early to get mushy. It's too early. It's too early.
Right. And, but, besides all that, how have you been? How's this pandemic life been? Like, you're over in Boise right now and everything. So what's been going on?
Honestly, man, like, I think things have been good. Like, and I've been trying to be sensitive because I know it's been like a weird time for everybody. But honestly, like, I'm coming out of it much better than when I went into it. Like, financially, feeling better mentally, emotionally. I got a car, so I'm mobile again. So
Nice.
Thank the Father.
That car's nice.
above.
We've been driving around in that car.
Yeah, congrats,
I
man.
know,
That's
it was
great.
pretty good. We were cruising around. We were driving all around Nampa and stuff,
Yeah.
and just like seeing. It's funny how like when. You live here. I've lived here most of my life, right? And where we were like driving by, it's like I haven't been to that area ever.
Right,
It's
beautiful.
It was gorgeous. It was like right out by the wineries and everything like that too, over Caldwell area. And
You see like images of it on like Google or like in movies and stuff like that, but to actually see it in person, it was crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was nice though, but it was weird.
right, and quite a change from like where I'm working with these headphones here. But quite a change from like where you come from, like over in Alabama, right?
Yeah.
And
It's all trees, all woodlands and hills, so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's completely different here, completely different.
And what's that been like for you? Like, you making that change, we've talked about that a couple times, but what's that been like?
It's been like, for me, like it hasn't really been a major thing, like, because I was used to moving around. Okay, well, like when I first started dancing, we do like competitions and shows and stuff in like Tennessee and Atlanta and so on and so forth.
Right.
Went to New York once as well. So, and then of course my 6 years in the military, I sort of got used to being around, being thrown here. You go here for a bit, you go training over here, you get deployed this way. So for me, and I think just my mindset in general, like I've always been able to just, okay, cool, I'm in a new spot, is what it is. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on. But it's been cool, man. It's nice just seeing how different the country is. Like, like if you make that drive, you go from, like I said, green and trees and woodlands to a little less trees, a little less green. It's a whole bunch of sand, and then it's like, you get to just to watch that whole transition happen. It's crazy. It's really cool.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I also
When did you
taking classes? So that's been fun. That's been real fun. But go ahead, man.
Right.
Oh, I was just gonna ask. I do want to talk about the Muay Thai. But when did you move from Alabama to Idaho?
Oh man, so I got out here in.
Talk a little closer to the mic.
I got out here like end of 2017-ish, like around, I want to say like September, October of 2017. And I was a flight attendant at the time, so always in and out and stuff like that. And then I moved away beginning of 2019, and then came back end of 2019. So
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay.
A lot of travel.
Awesome.
A lot of travel.
A lot of it.
And where were you and like, so your time in the military, like what was that like again? Like what branch were you and what were you doing there?
Air Force Reserve. I was a cop or security forces or SecFo for those who like to get on our nerves. No, I spent most of my time based at Maxwell, so that's down in Montgomery, Alabama. Basically home. I love that unit. It was like a giant family. Those are actually the guys that I got to deploy with in 2013. And but of course I spent a little bit of time with Dobbins over in Marietta, Georgia, and then I did a couple years out with March out in Moreno Valley, Riverside, California. So it was cool. It's all right.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of moving around.
It's not my favorite unit, but it's all good.
You know, hey, you gotta have the ones you don't like as much as well the one you love. You know, you gotta have that.
Look.
You know,
if I don't like it, you can keep it.
Right. Hey, you're free to like talk about it as much as you want, but then this is time to talk. You know, get those hot takes. You know, tell us the dirty secrets.
It was trash. No, I'm kidding. No, it was a few good guys out there, but it definitely didn't feel like as connected and like it didn't feel as loving or family based as my original unit did. But here's what it is. I had a job to do, get it done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
well, and that's interesting too. I mean, because your time being in California, but also that's not your only time being in California too, right? You were living in LA as well. That's where you went to school for.
Yep.
Okay. And that's just an interesting thing to me. I'm really interested to learn more from you, just like how to balance the creative life with the military life, right? And because a lot of people don't they keep those worlds separate a lot of times, and so you have an interesting viewpoint.
In all honesty, man, like I don't think I ever did master that line, because like I remember, you know, like in acting school or whatever, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I remember like it was always encouraged, you know, make mistakes, explore your emotions. How do you feel? And I'm like, no, you don't make mistakes. People die if you do that. How I feel doesn't matter. I got a job to do. Get it done. So yeah, like legit, it was a double life, and it was the weirdest thing and like the hardest thing I'd ever done.
Sure.
Because I didn't, even growing up, like I didn't have sort of that artsy, I've been doing this since, you know, I was a kid background. Like that just wasn't my story.
Right.
And so being there, like it was crazy. And all of a sudden, of course, like every month I go down to base where like, in all honesty, it was so much easier doing a military thing, just being a robot and just getting the job done. It was so much easier than actually being, I guess, human, if you will. Yeah, it's crazy. It was weird.
You know, that actually kind of gets on an interesting point for me where it's like, because in my opinion, like as from an artist perspective, it's always, as a theater artist specifically, it's like a lot of it's based on, you know, community. It's a communal art form, all those things. But that's actually with the military too. Like your unit, you actually, it's highly, you know, like the bonds that you create with your different units, battalions, like even your branches is like definitely a big old thing. So what's the difference, would you say, like between those two worlds?
I would say, I think the biggest difference between those two worlds, in my opinion, is definitely, I think camaraderie is more, I don't want to use the word forced, but it's much easier in the military because it's not this. Granted that there is a bit of competitiveness in like when you want promotions and whether or not, you know, how many slots they got available, but it's not this sort of dog eat dog thing where I have to make sure you don't get the role in hopes that I get the role that there is in sort of the art and entertainment realm. Like it's just like, like we all in this together. We're all like, there's this phrase called embrace the suck. So cool, we all in this together. It's hot as hell. I don't feel like picking up 1,000 rounds that we just fired, but we in this together, as opposed to, you know, what I've seen in the art realm.
Totally.
We
can go into that shit too. That shit. Fuck. I had to leave that shit for a while, you know. And it's a real thing. And you know, to be fair, we've also, I mean, like, been luckily able to encounter deep bonds within the artistic community as well. That's also why it keeps bringing me back. But yeah, for sure, it's like with the military world, you're forced to cooperate. And sometimes I wish that, like, I sometimes wish that we had to do that a little bit more often in our world. You know, it's so easy.
Yeah, it makes everything that much better. Like, even those bad moments, those moments where you're tired, you're hungry, you've been moving in mud, like, or you just want to go home. Like, it makes all those moments so much better, as opposed to, like, you know, when you have, like, we all got personal issues, right? So you got personal issues going on or whatever. But it makes it easier to know that, okay, at least I got somewhat of a family here, as opposed to, are these people that I'm working with, all these, you know, artists that I'm meeting and networking with, you know, are they really here for me? Do they have their my best interest at heart? Like, are they going to look out for me the same way I want to look out for them?
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to worry about that as much.
Right, in the military, for sure.
Yeah, so it can be a lot easier just at least having one safety blanket.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was deployed, things got really, really bad for me. But a guy that he became like a second dad to me. I love him to this day. His name's Sergeant Pike. And like, he was there for me and sort of carried me through. Things got a little dark. Yeah. Almost became a number as far as almost, you know, took myself off. But like I said, like, he was there for me. So, like, I had him and others, I'm saying, as that family, as that base. When my personal life was not what I wanted it to be, or my time over there was not what I needed it to be.
Right. So, and that's awesome. That's powerful, right? And, you know, and I think that's what we should try to strive for within the artistic realm, right? Agreed. And like, in those kind of terms, I've been in, I've had mentors in my life that, like, I remember, like, my first year of college, like, I was, like, you know, I got done with doing this scene, and I just felt like shit. You know, when you just, like, bomb a scene, you just, like, go up, and back in that day, too, I was like, oh, I'm the big shit, you know what I mean? Like, I was the best. I was leading my high school all the time, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't know what that feels like, but go ahead.
But, you know, right. But, well, it was like, I came in there, and then, like, the first scenes that we do, like, I was like, yeah, I got this shit unlocked, whatever, you know, and then we do our performance, our final performance, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Damn.
I just bombed up there, and I remember, like, going to my professor the next day, right after the class, and I was just, like, bawling, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Timothy McEwen-Begay, who's the guy that I talked to, I was like, I just don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this for my life. I don't know if I'm able to, like, what did I just waste my life?
Because like, I've been second guess everything.
Yeah, and he actually kind of attacked it in a military standpoint. Now to look back on it, because he was like, I'm crying and everything. I'm letting all this out. You know what I mean? And he's like, can I tell you something? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, get over yourself.
Oh man,
that's what I was like. I was like, what?
Damn.
Like,
okay.
Well, he was like, get over yourself, you know, and in the sense of, like, is this what you want to do with your life?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, is this the thing that drives you in your artistic career? It's like, is this where you want to be? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And he's like, you already made it. You're already here.
That's
you
good.
know,
that's good.
So get out of your own way.
Yeah. That's good.
I know.
Who is he? I need to meet him.
He's amazing. Timothy McEwen-Begay. Nick knows him as well.
Highly recommended. Yeah, he's a great acting coach, a great director, and stuff like that too. And that's an interesting thing too, because I don't know if we've talked about this, but like those first scenes. Have you ever read Raisin in the Sun?
Yeah.
Lorraine Hansberry, of course, one of like the masterworks of theater. So that's what we did as our first scenes. At college, I know. And that's
okay. All right, dude.
Yeah, I know. Right. And so like all of us white kids in Seattle are like,
you said it, not me.
You know, right? No, it was on everyone's minds. But like Timothy, you know, guided us through it. He's been like studying this play for like 13 years, you know, and you know, they even produced it like at Seattle Repertory Theater, I believe, like in a couple of years after we graduated.
It was a great production.
It really was.
Like as a masterpiece. It's
totally.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I can go into that play too. But like, I mean, it's Lorraine Hansberry. But what was it? It was just like, it was nice to have, it's like, what it was really about is like, we're not doing dialects. We're not doing anything like that. It's not doing like, you're not dressing up or things like that. It's like, dress up how you dress up. And it's focus on the relationships, focus on what's going on between these people, because these conflicts are so, like, I mean, that's what makes a masterpiece, right? It's like that. It transcends.
It's
timeless. It's
and everybody can connect to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that was a real gift. But yeah, definitely at the beginning of it, you're like,
no, sir, you got the wrong one.
So yeah, funny shit. But that community though, having that person to guide you through, just like how with your what was the name again? It was
Pike.
Sergeant Pike. Yeah, like and shout out to him too. It's needed. It's just needed within our humanity to we need to lean on people, you know.
And I feel like that I think it's funny to me how as actors and artists, it's our job to display humanity, right? It's our job to bring it to a stage, or whether it be music or whether it be like on a screen somewhere. And it's interesting to me how it seems so many times that as actors we can do it, it can be done, but as people it's like, where did the gap, like what happened along the way that you couldn't bring that humanity with you as an actual person? And of course not everybody's like that, but it's just interesting to me just how it's our job to display the human condition, as I've heard it called before. And it's a challenge outside of the screen.
Totally. Yeah. And I've been subject to that too, you know. I mean, I think it's part of that business, right? Where it's like the business of yourself as your business. And so like some of my experiences was, you know, it was just like you talk to someone and like they, you know, it could be dear friends with this person, and after a couple years of being in the business, if you don't watch yourself, and like I was doing this too, where it's like, how are you? And it's like, oh, I'm good. I'm doing this project and this project. I'm like writing to these people. I'm doing this kind of thing. Where it's like, no, I'm actually asking you, like, how are you?
How are you?
You know, like, how's your family?
That's crazy. Yeah.
The humanity's not there because it's like you're so focused on like, all right, I need to, you know, we're freelance artists, right? So it's like we have to like keep searching and hustling for the next thing.
It's like a constant hunt.
It's a good thing to keep in mind though, like our own humanity.
Yeah. Look at it coming from me, the person who's only semi-human.
You're the half bionicle man.
Oh, yeah, bionicle. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I'm like Android 32. Sorry, DBC.
Android 16.
I have no other option.
Man. So you were talking about like with Muay Thai and stuff too, like getting into martial arts. I know we've talked about with martial arts work. It's so cool. That's a whole nother wave of it too. And I actually, now that I kind of talking about that, that's kind of like an interesting blend of military, like the bond is strong, I die for you kind of a deal, with that artistic, like we are expressing and showing our humanity through a form.
Yes. I think and it's so dope because like the more you pay attention to it, you see the martial art, the martial artist.
Right.
Like you can teach everyone, or you know, like you can take 20 different people and teach them the same style, be it, you know, boxing, whether you want them to like work on like the Philly shell or whatever the style is, or be it Muay Thai, be it BJJ, like you can take all these things and teach, you know, 20 different people that same style, and you're going to get 20 different variations of it. Like yes, like you have your foundations or whatever, but you see like the Conor McGregor's, right? Like he combined it, you know, of course, like a bit of karate and everything else that he's done, but he makes it his own. It looks like him. It's how he expresses himself. Like take a guy named Michael Venom Page, MVP. He fights in Bellator, I believe. But no one can copy him. People can study the same thing, the same disciplines or whatever, but it will never look like anybody else. The same way you can stick, you know, two people in the same role, and it's gonna look and sound and feel completely different. Like I remember, like every time I got to watch you do Buckingham or Buckingham.
Oh, Buckham.
Right? Oh, Buckingham. No, but I remember like just especially you know, where like the church scene, you know, where we're trying to get Richard to take the crown or whatever, and just how you read everything. I was like, yo, that's not how I did it. in my audition, and that
Right.
sounds dope. Like, but it's just crazy to me just how like
God.
it was trash. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
All right, so this podcast is taking a dark turn. I'm gonna fight you now.
But yeah, it was just cool to me that like it just, I guess it just shows that whole artist thing. Like as
Right.
we're all different, and so there are those certain minute like little quirks about us that come out in every character.
Yeah.
And in every martial arts form. So it's super dope. It's crazy. It's just real fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what you're talking about, and like Nick, I've kind of talked to you about this sometimes. But we were a part of a touring show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you're referring to, and everything
Yes.
is we did a touring production of Richard III in Idaho for high schools and middle schools,
Yep.
sometimes a nursing home, you know what I mean?
Or
Nursing home or two,
facilities.
yeah, right. So a lot of different audiences, but yeah, and I was actually talking about this with a buddy last night, where it's like that was such a huge thing. As far as like, you know, Richard III is one of like Shakespeare's biggest plays.
Yep. Yeah.
As far as like
Yeah.
in time frame and number of
You know,
characters in the play.
words on the dude,
Right.
it's ridiculous.
The
It's
amount of
so
that
big.
Richard
It's so
talks,
much.
you know, and we fit all that into 1 hour. It was
Yeah.
such like a, you know, a firecracker of a show in that way.
It
Where
was.
it's like,
and like I was so impressed with how, you know, Laura Wilshberg, like how she cut it. I'm like, I don't envy her like
Right.
at all. Like it was like what she got like from like 37,000 words down to like 7,500.
yeah.
Like how do you cut that and then still make it make sense? And like it was
Beyond me.
otherworldly. Like I don't know how she did it, but she did it.
So I got a question.
That's a feat.
Yeah, it is. I got a question then for you, because I was talking about this with Michael. Like, do you think that they should do Richard III or like a history play again? Like after your experience of being on tour with it?
I don't see why not.
Right. I mean, well, one of the things I was kind of like, it's just so large. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think our production was a success. Again, like
Right,
Laura was
agreed.
able to cut the play to a astonishing amount to be able to get all that you got in there.
Yeah.
But like I was talking and it was like, you know, I don't know if I would, just mainly because there's so many amazing lines, you know what I mean, that are cut. And maybe that's just me being precious.
Okay.
But you know, there's just so many like great works, even right before we went off with it, that were like, all right, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
It was like last
like
night,
legit last day of just like, okay, take this out. I'm gonna have to cut this. Yeah.
and we were still running late sometimes at the beginning. Where it's just like, oh wait,
man.
don't tell, you know, our company about that. But like, you know, but you know, that's good. It was just such a big play, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many characters. That's one of the things with like Shakespeare's history. I was like, there's how many Duke of Buckinghams and Burgundies and
Dude, there's so many Dukes of Buckingham and Burgundy, like so it's
time.
or Gloucester. No, funny enough. So since we're bringing up ISF, Outer Shakespeare Festival, Henry V, right?
Right.
So of course one of the characters is Duke of Gloucester, and I was like, I'm Richard. Wait a minute, no, I'm not. That's a different. It's like
right.
It was like a totally different person.
Oh, great. I'm so excited. Oh, my God. I was like, all right, I got to get my hand ready, you know? And then it's like, oh, wait, no.
Oh, man. I got to get my limp. I got to get my hunchback going. I was like, oh, wait. That's a different, whatever.
Dude. That's so funny. I know. It's like, that's such a big thing. How's that going, by the way? Like,
we don't know yet. We're originally supposed to start rehearsals June 3rd, but due to Corona being upset with everybody, they pushed it back to the 23rd.
Yeah.
So we're still hanging back to see if we're gonna be able to do it. I guess if everything keeps going, I guess positive, in the positive, with the whole COVID situation, then I reckon we might be able to pull it off.
I hope so.
But then of course the company has to consider, you know, seating, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure like even then there's still going to be certain guidelines of how many people can be in one space and then next to each other. So, to my knowledge, we're still hanging out right now trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a big thing, man.
Corona strikes again.
I can't imagine being like an artistic director of a theater like that, where it's like you in like on Broadway or wherever, you know, and like having to manage your season, where it's like you already had to cut 2 shows in this season.
Yeah.
2 shows I was pretty excited about too. You know what I mean? Much Ado About Nothing.
Definitely. And
Amos Behaving.
I was so excited for that one.
Yeah, dude.
So excited for Amos.
So cool. But I mean, yeah, it's like it just sucks that this whole thing happened. But you know, it's to juggle that, and you're juggling the safety of your artists, juggling the safety of your patrons, juggling like, you know, but also trying to manage the finances.
Yeah, that in itself, I can only imagine is a big thing. And then on top of the whole thing of finances, and being in that field, you know that as artists, we need to act. We need to do our thing. If we don't, you know, we don't get paid. Or, you know, that moment where like everyone's excited, you know, they sign their contracts, like, yeah, got a guaranteed date, I'm starting in. And then to have to make that decision and make that phone call or send that email and go, hey, I know we said this thing was going to happen. It's not. Like, like I don't envy anybody in that position at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rough. It's a rough time. But, you know, I'm hoping, though, that you guys are able to go up with that. That'd be cool. It sounds like a really cool production. And how many people in the cast? Like, what do you know about
don't make
that?
me lie to you. I don't remember right now.
Right.
Don't make me lie to you.
It was like a kind of
it's
shorter one, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Oh, okay, cool.
It's a lot.
Cool.
It's a fair amount.
All right.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. Definitely more than the six that got sent on tour. Definitely more than 6.
Yeah.
So is this like a main stage show or another traveling one?
Main stage.
Yeah.
Main stage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful theater too.
Man, I was so excited because I got to go see Witness of the Prosecution.
Yeah.
I believe it was last year. I want to say it was last year. And just seeing the theater, just like, oh my God, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And then just okay, I'm going to be there now. It's like, let's go.
Right.
And then once again, COVID. So it's fine. so we're here.
So it's okay. It's fine. I'm just going to bury my feelings.
Exactly. As I was trained.
I'll use it again when I want to be on stage. So it's like, I'll just take it out when you do that. I know, it's just such a crazy time, dude.
Yeah,
it's
man.
such
Weird.
What was it? And you know, now that like we're kind of talking about this too, with just like your record with different productions that you've been in, it's kind of funny to me that you actually are, as a military person, been a part of a lot of military plays. In a sense, right?
Ooh, okay.
Man, I love it, but I also hate it. Because depending on the writing, I think they glorify too much of it,
right?
And don't hit on what's real about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but once again, it's cool. Me being able to be a part of those things. One, it's dope because I personally relate to it. But then two, it's money. So, but it's definitely one of those things where it's a lot of, at least for me in any way. It does bring mixed feelings at times.
Is there an example of like a play or a scene or something?
So I forget. There was this one moment. I forget the name of the play, but it was back actually when I was in school in California, and of course the theater company, put it on. So of course we all went to go see it. And there's this one scene where legit you're watching everyone get mowed down one by one, and the way they directed it, like they would slow it down. And of course, everyone else would be down or something or doing anything to not distract from who's about to die. And I think that was like the first time I had ever cried at a play. And of course, but at the end of it, there was only one guy left, and he was like paralyzed from the waist down the rest of his life. And I just got to chill just now. But for me, like like the entire play, like it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of, you know, just dumb. It was a lot of great moments from like, you know, you get that one troop who's he's just a little off, just a little not aware. And of course, like you end up loving him because he's like just a baby brother who just, you know, really goofy.
Sure.
But it didn't. That one there I appreciated because it did paint the picture of, yo, it's not always fun. It's not always just go off and, you know, come back and get a Bronze Star or all these medals and it's all fun and everyone worships you and appreciates you. In fact,
what play was that, by the way?
I forget the name of it.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Cool.
My memory's not as great as it was.
No worries.
But yeah, no. So there's that. But one thing that I do wish was, I guess, more publicized or more attention is brought to, I guess I should say, is that it's actually sometimes quite the opposite. Like I didn't realize until after I went in how many Americans do not approve of the military. Like how many people view you as a terrorist.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, like you wouldn't have the freedom to actually say what you just said to me had it not been for other people before me and like me who have put their lives on the line and lost their lives. And I don't think that that's, you know, portrayed enough or at least brought to light enough. So I think everyone just sort of has this, you know, hoorah, gung-ho, you know, military or view an image of the military, and it's so much more than that.
Right. It's a complicated issue. You know?
So.
Yeah. That's unpacking a lot of stuff too there because, you know, the Vietnam War, for example, was, you know, that in itself was a controversial time. But one of the things about that, though, is like, so it's a draft, right? So it's like you're being put over there.
Legit just snatched up. Like, yeah, okay, come with me. You're going here. And then just sort of let them be. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, just, and then, of course, then you have to deal with the, you know, aftermath, like the PTSD that at the time we didn't know, or the doctors didn't know, or have it diagnosed as PTSD.
Shell shock,
it's called shell shock, exactly. Or even, you know, being in the military or being one of those soldiers who you yourself don't know why you're triggered. Of course, there are certain times where you're like, okay, like if you hear a certain sound or you smell something or see something, then yeah, of course you have, you know, those triggers. But then also just those moments where your mood just randomly switches. Right. Like there have been several times where I don't even know why. My oldest brother Bo's a Marine, or was a Marine. Well, not once a Marine, always a Marine.
Always a Marine. Right.
Of course.
But me talking to him and even my dad who was in the Army, like we all relate to that. Or when I brought it up to him, they're like, yeah, I understand that. That's a real thing. And it's like, okay, so I can only imagine. We know about that now. We can talk about that now. We can get that diagnosed now. It's more common now. But who knows what it was like back then, where, you know, whether you were married, you were dating somebody, you get home and all of a sudden you don't feel that way no more. And you can't picture
or your wife
why.
Left you, you know, or your spouse left you, or someone else
because you're gone. And so and it's so exactly like all those things there are not brought to light enough, right? Because once again, it's not always this, you know, you come home to the city you're from and you're this celebrated war hero. That's not a thing.
They would spit on him. I remember, you know, they would spit on soldiers that came back. Yeah, and it's like, but there's bad people everywhere. Agreed. There's good people everywhere. Agreed. And you know, that's with any kind of organization or whatever. But I would say it's like I had to go do that. And it's like that, and whether I agreed with it or not, it's like I had to go do that, and it's my duty as a military member to do that. And I you know, and it's kind of like, not to bring this, to bring it to like kind of more current events and stuff like that too. Like there's been kind of that kind of conversation going around, you know, with the protests that have been happening and stuff like that. That you know, like people, military members talking about like, hey, police, what are you doing? We know how to subdue people more well than that. And then I also see cops that, you know, are saying like Sheriff Swanson in Flint, Michigan, that was like, hey, I want to march with you guys. Yeah. And I want to make this parade, and which is, in my opinion, that's amazing. Right?
It is. It's great to see. And once again, it does paint that picture that, or I guess it reinforces, because the picture's already been painted. Right. That not everybody is bad. Like not every cop is out to arrest me at the first sight of me. Right. That's not a thing. There are some. For sure. Yeah. But they're bad apples in every bunch. Like from you, if you want to talk about religion, there's always the extremists. Like whatever you want to talk about, there is always going to be those bad few that mess it up for everybody else. Yeah, absolutely. But then there's also systemic racism and so on and so forth, and other stuff that we can definitely go into. But yeah, like I'm glad to have those. And once again, I met so many dudes like that while I was in, like guys that I deployed with or whatever, who are those, you know, Confederate flag flying, you know, tobacco chew and so on and so forth. Right. But me talking with them, serving with them, and being around them, so this is actually a good dude. Like he's a decent dude. He got my back. I got his. we just agree to disagree on a few
Right.
things or whatever. But it does sort of once again reinforce that thing of not everybody's an asshole, not everybody's racist, not everybody's a bigot or sexist or whatever you want to call it. Not
Yeah.
everybody is that.
Yeah, it's
I don't know, man.
well, and to go along with that too, and the reason why I also bring this up, I saw a Facebook post today from somebody, and it was like she was saying like just by being a cop right now, like if you are a good cop, in air quotes, they put like it's like you need to resign as a cop, and like it because you're a part of a system that is specifically created to oppress or to it's systematically whatever, and so therefore you should, if you think you're a good cop, you should resign from the force. And and I was kind of like thinking about that, like then what,
I was gonna say, and for me that sounds like, once again, no extremes to either side. It's terrible because I guarantee she or he would likely be the same person that if every good cop resigned and then someone breaks into the house or steals their car, like, okay, well, we're the police and they should be here to protect us. And it's like, okay, well, but you just told all the good ones to not. Like, it's like you can't, you don't get to pick and choose. Like they are needed.
That whole resign thing is not I think a productive.
It's not the answer at all.
That's not the answer at all in any sort of way. I mean, hopefully we're able to figure something out where we only have good cops left, or at least as much, or at least, right? We want all the bad cops to resign, or all of them to get arrested. Right.
Is there a law
the goal
pass,
it's the actual opposite.
No bad cops around.
Oh man, that would be almost a utopian thing, because like imagine, so if we can do that with the cops, that means we can do that everywhere else.
Right.
Which then eliminates the whole premise of there are good and bad people in every bunch. Once again, if it can be done, I'm with it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Or at least we need to make it like super, like it needs to be more difficult, I'd say, for bad cops to get through.
Right.
I think that whatever's in place right now, it just does not seem to be working.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can sort of reorganize that whole system to where the bad cops, we can at least decrease the percentage of them, because right now I think that's the goal. It's too high.
No, and that's a great thing. But and then the question then becomes, okay, well, how do we do this? How do we vet?
How? Right.
Because you can have a great relationship with somebody and you think they're the best thing since sliced bread, but then they get outside, like they meet people outside of you. I'll use this as an example. Yeah. So back when I was in school in California, there were a couple guys who were in the year below me, and when it came to the women at the school, be it students and even some of the teachers, they were mad disrespectful, like assholes, like cunts, like I'm sorry, just the worst of the worst or whatever. But every time I was around them, every time I met them, they were super cool, super respectful, super chill or whatever, and I didn't find out about this other side of these guys until after the fact, until after I've graduated or whatever. And so once again, that question becomes, how do you vet these people? Like, how do you really know what they're actually like when they're not around you, when they're not on best behavior, or when they're not in professional mode? Like it makes it really, really hard, or that would be an extremely long process, I would say.
I don't know.
I
feel like we've tried, going since this country's been fucking here, you know what I mean? It's like trying to solve that. At least some of us are trying to solve that, and some of us are trying to keep that going on. But one that actually makes me think of I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast with a guy named Jerrell Davis. Have you heard of him?
Daryl Davis. I think I know the name. I can't.
So like, there's a dude that he single-handedly was able to get over 200 people that were in the KKK to leave the Klan.
I got it. Okay, yeah. I saw some of some clips of that podcast.
Just nuts. And like, just a matter of like how many people in the Klan are also in the police force.
Right.
How many people are doing that, you know what I mean? But then also like they leave and they're like, oh wow, I understand what's going on. And a lot of it too, he was just saying was like, they just never really met a black man before. Yeah. Like that. And so he would just like he would just hang out with them. Yeah. And after time, they'd be like, oh, right.
He ain't that bad.
You're a human being.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're like,
Exactly.
Not what like my society is ingrained into my brain to hate and oppress and be like, this is the enemy. Yep. And then you actually like, oh, all these barriers are now breaking down just by the sense of him reaching out and being part of a community member.
And then you also realize that, like you said, like he is human. Like, oh wait, "Hey, we agree on this? You actually think like it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Like
you use this thing up here?
Oh man,
wait, you have one of those to use?
Yeah, God,
media definitely hasn't helped throughout history or whatever. But yeah, like it's crazy to me. And I think all of us have those moments or have had moments like that where
absolutely.
Until you had to be around them, whoever they or them are, you didn't register that, oh shit, we actually can relate on stuff. I personally was a person who did that. Like I remember before I went overseas, I had assumed that everybody over there hated us. Everybody. Anybody over on that side of the world wants us all dead.
Yeah.
Man, I met some of the coolest people in my life that I still talk to over there. Like one guy named Devron. Super cool dude.
Yeah.
Great guy. Like he's always like encouraging me like, yo, Jerrell, like, you should be a model, bro. Like he's super cool or whatever. Like I learned to dance bachata from a Russian woman.
Cool.
Like it's like so, and I'm like,
wow, yeah.
For me, I had to check myself. Like the moment that I got to know these people, I immediately had to check myself like, Jerrell, you were an asshole. Yeah. Without even knowing these people, you had assumed the absolute worst about them. And once again, until you are forced to think that way, I think you think you think it's normal, or you don't think about it at all. Right. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Well, I was talking about this with the last podcast with Andrew, and you know, she's the person that's been able to travel, right? She was a ballet dancer, and she was like ice skating in Africa at like 7 years old.
Wow.
Dude,
okay.
She's amazing, right? But like one of the things that we were talking about, and like, I think that everybody should be able to travel and live somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. So important.
You know,
so important.
Just for the sake of what we're talking about, right? It's like if you're just stuck in one place your whole life you don't know what's actually out there, you don't know how people actually are, you don't know what their values really are, and then you go there and even just like one other place, one other country,
dude, like and it's like you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it.
Right.
It's weird, like or what is it, a wise man knows he knows nothing, right? Like once again, until you're put in that place to where you go, oh shit, let me check myself. Yeah. Like you think you know it all. Like you think that you're set. Everything you know, that's real. That's the reality of it. And then you hopefully eventually bump into someone else or something bumps into you. And you go, oh, okay, that's real. That's a good point.
It reminds me of that, like that circle of knowledge. You know, it's like you don't know what's on the outside of that circle until your circle expands. Right. But then like the more your circle expands, the more you know. The more you know that there's an outside of that circle, and that perimeter is growing and growing, and like and that is just, it's applicable to, you know, the people that you meet, the places that you go, and the things that you study. You know, it's all the same, because every like, you know, the best physicist in the world knows how much they don't know. More than any, you know, they don't know more stuff than anybody else. Right. And yet they're the most knowledgeable person on that topic. It's this weird like double thing.
Can I go in a different direction just because of what you're saying, Nick? Just like in the sense of things that we don't know to things that we do know. All right, so I'm gonna go for a little bit here. Okay. We know more about space right now, and like they just launched people to the space station, which is so cool. I'm excited about that. But
Launch America,
right? It's like we know more about space at this moment than we do underwater.
That terrifies me.
It's about the ocean.
That terrifies me.
Which is why I cannot wait for when we finally learn how to break the code on communicating with dolphins. You know?
Wait, do we just?
Yes.
I'm serious about this.
I was not expecting this to go down that.
Well, think about it, man. Think about it.
I can't make it.
I thought he was going to say to where we can go down even further and stay longer, or where we can walk on the ocean floor and not get crushed by pressure. This man brought up dolphins.
Man. Dolphins, dude. They're basically like us, just on the water. You know.
I don't know how far down a dolphin can swim, fam. It's only so much they can tell me.
More than me. You know,
that's true. Okay,
I'm just saying.
Good point.
Just think about.
I'm ready to find Nessie, man. We got to find the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah,
we got to find it.
You have a fleet of dolphins out. You can find a fleet of dolphins to find Nessie.
I don't think they want to find Nessie.
There we go.
Or they're like,
that I'm
think about
it
like, well, they're like, we're homies with Nessie. You know what I mean? Like, it's
that's
like,
a big what if. That's a big what if.
Like, well, think of how many like creatures we don't know about. You know what I mean? But like dolphins.
There's a reason why we don't. Like, there's a reason why. I remember when I found out
fair.
that megalodons were a thing. I was like, oh, no, no, ma'am. No, sir. I'm good. I'm going to stay over here. Once again, I firmly believe as humans, we belong on land.
Yeah.
And in certain pockets of land. We don't belong out in safari. We don't belong in the air with the birds. And we don't belong in the water.
That's why we have our dolphin compatriots to be able to discover and explore with us in Florida. They don't know what's going on out here, you know? They don't. Well, I think it's going to be a hard conversation when we first start communicating. They're going to be like, yo, what the fuck have you guys been doing to us?
you know what?
That's going to be tough.
Since we're on this topic of discovery, and you brought up space a minute ago, I am only waiting until we reach that Mass Effect stage, the game of Mass Effect, where we start bumping into other alien races, and I can meet an Asari. Yeah, and we're not gonna talk about that. Moving on.
Okay.
Dude, then you could be a space soldier.
I'm with it. I'm down for that. Yeah. I'm with it. Sign me up. Let me know when.
I'll be there. Sergeant Spaceman, man.
Sergeant Spaceman, I'm done.
That's it, right? Well, man. I feel like I just got into the mind of Jerrell and his like, interdimensional fantasies going on.
I mean, it happened.
It happened. It's okay. It's all right.
Katy Perry made a song about it.
Right.
So
if Katy Perry's singing it, then we're all thinking
that's how you know. That's how you know.
Got real.
That's how you know. She's the arbiter of all of our minds. You know what I mean? She knows what everybody's thinking.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
He'd be so much better than dating a human. I'm done. I quit. Okay, move on. Next topic.
Humans are complicated enough, man.
Humans are trash.
And now aliens, that's gonna be even more complicated.
I mean, or I can just get, kidnapped and probed, and I can just be a robot. I don't know anything at that point. Either way, I'm fine.
That's true.
I wish you the best.
You could Yo, okay, here, Jerrell, do that and then come back on this podcast. We'll have a lot to talk about.
I got you. Well,
speaking of actually, so what, as an artist in this pandemic, what we've been wanting to talk to you about, so since this pandemic started, you've been making a point to be on a social media platform as a personality on there, and you're on TikTok now.
Yeah.
Right, with _I am Jerrell, right?
Yep.
And we'll, it'll be on there.
Oh, thank y'all.
Yeah, of course. But
oh yeah, man.
You have over 10,000 followers now.
Yeah, I'm at 11,000, 11,000 and 8 something. It's weird.
When did you start?
That's amazing.
I started March 20 something, maybe a couple days before my birthday.
It's a month and a half you've been on TikTok.
Yeah, it's been a month and a half.
Wow, that's amazing. So you have 11,000 followers in a month and a half. What is your secret recipe? I want to know.
I got lucky with one video, fam. Right. But no. So I have been trying to do be active and try and post something every day. And I think I had gotten till I was at 268 or something, right?
Right.
And of course I wanted to go live, and I was like, okay, you can't do a live stream until you hit 1,000 followers. And I had made this one marching band video. It's titled Black Marching Bands or whatever. I remember all the football games.
That was a great video. Yeah. I watched it. That was
great. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So that video I think now has 260 something thousand views.
Wow.
And so legit.
There you go.
Oh, in a day and a half, I went from 268 to 1,300.
Man.
And in that video has just been circling since. And then I got another one where it's when your mom finna trip out, and so if my mom but it's so real. If my mama ever woke up the house praying, somebody messed up. Somebody messed up. We finna clean the whole house and the backyard and the front yard. And ain't nobody getting done until she done.
Right.
It was gonna be a long day, and it usually started because somebody forgot to clean up the kitchen.
Right.
That was usually that's usually the trigger. Keep the kitchen clean. Yeah, man. So those two have sort of
How did you?
gotten
I
the most
loved
traction.
that one. I was cracking up at that. Like, what are you?
Oh yeah, dude. I grew up with brothers, and we definitely had those moments.
Exactly.
Where we're like,
It's-
what did you do? Like,
we're
all dead, man. We're all dead. I don't know.
Everybody done. We all messed up. It was your turn to clean the kitchen. I cleaned it yesterday. I cleaned up the day before that. It's your week, man. Fuck no, you said you were gonna do it. Like, bro, it becomes a whole thing, bro. Like, but on top of that, you gotta be quiet about it, because mama, if mama hear y'all arguing, then it's really a done deal. So it's like
it's a double whammy.
So you got this silent argument going on.
Yeah,
we're like, why the fuck you ain't clean up last night? No.
It's okay. I love it.
Not bad. I'm sorry.
You don't got the COVID. It's okay. It's all right. I hope.
But yeah, man. So yeah. So legit, those two have sort of gotten me the most traction.
Right.
Like 200, like that
Nice.
video is like 264,000, something like that.
Wow.
And then the other one is, I believe, at like 80,000 views, something like that now.
Insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what started?
Wow.
What made you want to start doing that?
Just like one, like of course, like the desire to or need to create something. That's number one. But
Because
then
it was right
two-
after the tour got
Yeah,
canceled,
it was
right?
right after the tour got canceled.
Yeah.
But it was funny. It was
Okay.
funny because I had been meaning to and known that I should have been more into social media since like 2015, right? Because I think that's actually when TikTok came out. I think it might have been Musically or something like that. But I believe TikTok, like, because I created a TikTok back when I was still in LA.
Yeah.
And I just never used it. I never did anything with it.
Way back in 2015?
Way back in 2015, 2016. Yes,
I can't believe
sir.
that. I didn't know that it was still around. I
Dude,
didn't know
like,
it was
it
I thought it
around.
like came out in 2019.
That's what I thought.
Like
TikTok
so
was
I
new.
believe it was either TikTok or it was called Musically. I believe it was like
Very similar
Musically at that
Yeah.
point in time. And so of course, like, it was the same premise, like, you know, you can create some stuff, you can sing some stuff, whatever it is you wanted to do or whatever. And so now I look back and I go, bro, what if I had actually stayed with it and kept doing it since then? Where would I be now?
Right.
But to answer your question, it was just like me needing to, one, create something, and two, wanting to have that brand. You know what I'm saying? Like because of course, you know, I want to get into being a fitness model and so on and so forth. And hashtag make money. Because that exists. Like whether it be Twitch, whether it be YouTube, whether it be whatever it is, there are so many ways and routes and avenues to make money that, you know, I've done so many random jobs in my life that I personally am past the point. If I have to, I will, but I'm definitely past the point of just taking a job just to pay rent or just to eat. Like, I would much rather let it be gaming or TikTok or Instagram or all the above that bringing the money for me while I'm doing what I want to do and what I enjoy doing, and that's making the money for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. How have you been able, like, what has the process been to monetize those things? Like, how have you been able to make money off of TikTok or off of gaming?
I have not.
Okay.
No. No. Yeah. So like I said,
Might need to follow him right now, everybody
Yeah,
that's on there. Give him that money. Everybody.
You know what I'm saying? We trying to eat out here. Man, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to get this bread. Holla at your boy.
Get him on the certified list.
Man, please.
How about it?
I need the check. I need the check mark next to my name. I need it on Instagram. I need it everywhere. Granted, my situation is a little bit different. And I do have a little bit more wiggle room to play with due to my time in the military and disability and so on and so forth. So my situation is not as stressful as it once was now. Right. But it still isn't what it's going to be and what I'm going to work towards. But to answer your question directly, I don't know how to make no money off of it yet because I haven't.
Okay, copy.
Well, what I do know is that when the numbers come in, people will come to you. Like, be it like, you know, hey, we want you to wear our sunglasses, or G Fuel, which is like an energy drink type thing. Like, when you have a following, companies will come to you. Right. That much I do know.
Totally.
I've seen like gaming streamers, they start getting sponsors right around when they're starting to have like I've seen them start to get sponsors even when they only have 100 people that watch.
Interesting.
Per day, right? So it's only like but because they have that consistency of the followers that tune in, this company knows that they're going to be like at least 100 people are going to see it.
Exactly.
You know? And that's worth $100 to them if that's the
absolutely.
case.
And if these 100 people like and support this creator enough, that is enough to make people want to. And on top of that, then whatever platform you're using itself, sees value in you, and due to you having so many followers that just naturally see your stuff, then it gets spread to other people. So then that 100 becomes 200 at some point, so on and so forth. Like I remember, like once again, just to hop on that, like when I have 50 followers, right? I made a thank you video, and I was like, bruh, like I'm 50, I'm close to 100, and then everything else happens, and legit, it just blasted straight through, which is super dope and super crazy. And even then, say if you only have 100 subscribers on, let's say, Twitch. To subscribe is like what, $4.99, something like that, I believe it is. So that $4.99 times 100 is what? Wow. $500 a month. Just
like $500
extra, just extra money, just to play games.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so now, like, of course, like I'll be watching like people on Twitch or whatever. Like this one guy, he plays Smite, and he has like 4,000 subscribers. 4,000 times $5. What's that?
Right.
Yeah.
Like
12,000.
Right.
So that's easily car, insurance, phone, rent, if you got rent, bills, that in itself, that one little thing there, not to mention sponsors or whatever else you got going on. That one little bubble right there takes care of life.
Well, and it's using your, it's using your platform, using your artistic talents, whatever, like from video gaming to being a TikTok personality, right? So it's like the, onto that question as far as content, right? Like, so what has it been like for you? I feel like with TikTok, it's a lot of it too. Like you're making bits, right? You're making like little bits to make. And like, when I think of like stand-up comedians sometimes in that same world, sometimes they have like a shtick, right? They have like, I talk about these kind of things. I'm like this kind of a comic or whatever. Has there been like something that you've been creating content? How's that been? But also, do you feel like you're starting to develop like what your personality, your performing personality is on TikTok, like, or things like that?
That's a great question. I honestly, like, I don't think I have that one niche yet. It's eventually like it might become like fight choreo and stuff like that, because it is acting, it is martial arts, and I love both of them.
Right.
But I think the struggle for me has been the fact that there is so much that I do like, there's so much that I do enjoy, and there's so many facets of me as a person that it makes it hard and makes it difficult to even want to go, okay, well, this is only one thing here, which I guess I could make it a thing of where TikTok is sort of the more comedy stuff, right? Then you could make Instagram all the fitness related things. I could make YouTube all the gaming things or whatever. But for me, it's so weird because, like I said, the marching band thing, the mom thing or whatever, like these are all things that, one, it's fun, but two, it's real. That's just me. That's just my life. That's just how I grew up or whatever. So I think it's hard, like just racking my brain trying to figure out how to come up with stuff or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that one of the refreshing things about your TikTok, when I looked at it, was that it wasn't only just one thing. You had the marching band video, you had the video about your mom, you had the video about COVID-19, your first video, and they were all like very different, but they were all funny and they were all you, they were all recognizably you, and I think that's because you come at these things from an honest place, and that's enough, and I think it's refreshing. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, and it's funny because like it's the ones that, for me, the ones that I thought would have been like the one, like the right. So what's the name of the song? Making my way downtown. Dun, dun, dun. So
and I'm home.
Yeah. So I did one where like a guy made a cover of it where he's like riding around the block with my Glock, yo ass finna get shot.
Okay,
right,
great.
And so like me, I made a video that was captioned when you think it's safe. When Corona like goes away or something like that or whatever, right. Or like going outside after Corona's gone or whatever, thinking you're safe or something like that. I thought that was gonna be the one. It was not. It's
funny how it's like that, right? It's kind of like, oh, this is fucking genius.
It's gonna be great. Or the song is like the thumbnail of it is my butt. It's my butt chicken, like some shorts or whatever. But it's a song is like if I back it up, is it fat enough? If I some whatever, like, and I thought that was gonna be the one. I think that has like 2,000 views on it. But then the marching band that I just did for fun, just shits and giggles, like, oh man, I remember this or whatever, or like, because I saw one guy do a video with that particular song, and I was like, yo,
that's it though.
Like,
right?
I remember this song. I remember all the bands that I saw growing up. Let me throw something out there. And then all of a sudden, that's the one that just darts out. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. Which then I made a part 2, and that only has like 5,000 video views. So I'm like, bro, like, I don't know what y'all want from me. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right? It's like, is it that bit specifically, or what I said during that bit?
I can just wear different clothes and keep doing that video over and over again.
Again.
I can change my outfit if you want me to. Like, just let me know what y'all want me to do.
Right. And then, like, speaking on that, as far as like creating content and everything too, is like, is it like a day you're like, I want to talk about this, or like, I got a spark of this, or what's that been like for you as far as creating content?
It has definitely been more of just a spark. Like, I'll wake up or whatever, and I'm like, cool, I need to come up with something for the day, and I'm like, okay, cool, we'll get us a swing. Or like I do have like a little journal that I've started writing down different ideas.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's legit just wake up and whatever hits me is what I'm gonna try and go with. Because I've found that if I sit in my brain for too long, one, I'm not gonna do it. And then two, I talk myself out of it, or I talk myself into believing that it's not a good idea, or like it's if I get an idea, I need to go ahead and hit it and get it done.
Dude.
Right.
Yeah. That's
how much time do you say you spend like per day doing that? Like finding the content to producing it, editing it, and then releasing it. Like how long does that take you?
It depends on the day. Like with the marching band video, I got that done in like, I want to say 35 minutes.
There you go.
Like legit, it was crazy. And so like part of it was finding something that looked like a drum major's, like an actual mace or whatever. Where my roommate Delaney happened to have a ski pole. I was like, cool, I can use that. But
that works. Yeah.
But it took me like 10 minutes to find that. A few minutes to get dressed and then go outside, and I shot it like 4 or 5 times or whatever. And then the rest of it was just the short bit of editing that I did, which is just like a timing thing and getting the music to line up where I wanted it to. But then there have been some that have taken me an hour to get done, and it still doesn't do as good. So it legit just depends on the video. Yeah, it's weird.
Sure.
Yeah, it's such a nice, like, I don't know, the rise of social media, and like that's becoming a huge topic right now too. You know what I mean? Just like, what's the platform from all the different platforms of like TikTok to Twitter to Facebook, Instagram, all these different ones. And it's one of the reasons why we were really excited to have you on, Nick and I both, where it was just like, seeing people that are now growing as specifically like a TikTok personality, like a TikTok celebrity, you know, that's the thing that can be achieved, right? Or like an Instagram celebrity.
Crazy.
And then like, you know, that could be your business now. Yeah. And I'm interested, where do you think like about, you know, coming steps in the future and stuff like that too? I mean, we're one of the things that we talk about on this podcast is like what happens after a pandemic, you know, and especially like, now that there's also like an added crisis of having this, you know, this very political and social crisis happening right now too. Renaissances are born out of that, right? And so like, what do you think of like next steps, like philosophizing of, you know, what can happen next?
For me personally, or just in general? Honestly, man, like I do feel like, and even I went into this saying and knowing that, because I guess this quarantine birthed a lot of TikTokers. So I did know that once this thing blows over, a lot of people are not going to be creating anymore. And so mentally, I've been trying to make sure that I don't become one of those people.
Right.
So that's been the biggest thing for me. As far as what happens next, as far as philosophy and just creating content and whatnot, I think eventually this is going to become like everything else has. Like as far as like we use this thing here, be it for, and I don't want to say comedy in a bad way, but we use it as expression, right? And I feel like that's what a lot of it's gonna be. For me personally, I'm gonna do my best to just keep being me, and also figuring out what is me, and at least stay in that honest space. Which, once again, Nick, I appreciate that compliment. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, of course.
Because and that's also a pet peeve of mine. Like, I'll take the fitness realm for example. There are a lot of fitness models or whatever who, you get a bunch of followers and they all ask, hey, well, how can I look like you, and so on and so forth, and they won't be brutally just dead honest with these people and say, okay, look, I take this or whatever, but I'm also doing, steroids on the side, or I'm taking SARMs, or I'm doing this other thing or whatever.
Right.
And also just not saying, hey, yo, also part of this is genetics. So like I've gotten people for years now, right. Like people have said, like I had like one lady when I was a flight attendant, she was like, she said, and I quote, I bet you don't even know what a donut looks like. I'm like, babe, I got a honey bun in my bag right now. like I got a honey bun and some cookies in my bag right now. I'm finna go eat when I'm done talking to you. Like, but I have no issue telling people like, yo,
you do love your honey buns,
bro. I got a bad sweet tooth. Like at one point I had 14 cavities. Like at one time I had 14 cavities in my mouth. Like I got a bad sweet tooth. Like it's bad. but I have no issue whatsoever telling people like I got away with how I eat and ate by pure genetics alone.
Right.
Like when I worked at Route 21, whenever I had my break or whatever, there was a Burger King right on the opposite end of the mall. I would just go down there and like my go-to was a Hershey pie because I'm a fat boy, and like 2 double cheeseburgers with no pickles and a Sprite.
Ooh,
every day that I work,
delicious.
that's what I'm eating. And,
right.
and once again, and so I'm still able to look decent by genetics alone. So like my pet peeve is people who are not honest. And so the one thing that I do know that I'm gonna keep being is honest.
Right. Good.
Like let's talk about it. We can be real. Like whatever it is y'all want to hammer about, we can go at it. So that way, one, I'm prideful. I can say that I did it this way. I did it this. I stayed real. I stayed myself about it. But then 2, it can actually help somebody as opposed to deceive somebody and have someone thinking something that's really not the case.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's a big thing to like. You have to understand like. For someone to take on the responsibility of like a fitness consultant, fitness personality, personal trainer on your online thing, where it's like you have to take into effect, your genetics, your gut, you know what I mean? Just like your gut, how it processes your metabolism. Like my metabolism is crazy, and well, that's the thing though, is like that's just how my metabolism is, and I've stayed the same weight since high school, and like there's nothing that I've been able to do about it. I know. And I've like they're from different ranges of being super healthy and on it to being like not healthy, and I take that as a blessing. Don't people at me being like, you don't
you
understand.
Lucky piece of shit.
Right. It's like I know. But it's also an interesting thing though too, is like people that need to understand, like if I do have some fitness goals, and I do have fitness goals, I try to like, get there. Maybe quarantines, I haven't been the best at it. We can go into that another time. But it's like the someone to be honest with me about like, all right, so your metabolism's this crazy. These are the things that you need to put into your body to do that. To get to the like, if you want to gain 20 pounds of muscle, you need to be able to do this.
Yeah, and also that one, everybody's body isn't the same.
Right.
Like you can keep something as simple as like allergies. There are things that like I'm allergic to shellfish. As much as I used to love shrimp growing up, I'm big sad because I can't eat it no more. So even stuff like that, or like everybody's body is going to react differently. You got people who they eat one slice of bread and then they bloat just once again, being real with people. And then on top of that, you have the different body types, be it ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph, anywhere in between based on what your parents look like. Once again, lying to people, or at least giving people this false image or expectation of just do this here, just do this cookie cutter plan that I've created for you that I'm giving everybody else that ain't even tailored to you specifically and what your specific goals are. Like to me, that is unacceptable, and I hate it with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. I hate it so much.
Because chances are it's like not going to work.
It's not tailored. It is not.
Yeah.
And it's going to make those people give up altogether. Because they're gonna be like,
they're gonna work so hard. And I say I did all these steps exactly as you told me to, and nothing happened for me. Well, that's because it wasn't. That's not that person's fault.
Right.
Because it wasn't. The reason it didn't work is because it wasn't meant for you. They didn't make it with you in mind. They made it with money in mind.
Right.
Right.
So how would you switch it up? Because you're talking about like this is a passion of yours that you want to start continuing forward, and like the honesty and all that thing would be going on. So like if I'm like on your Instagram and I'm like a new guy.
Give me a question.
It's like, hey, like I am trying to lose 30 pounds.
Okay.
And like I don't know anything about, I don't know shit about whatever the fuck you're talking about. So it's like, where do I start? And it's like, you don't even know this guy. What are you kind of thinking about with that?
Okay. So some general principles apply. Calories in, calories out. That's going to be the easiest, best way, hands down, or simple way to say that. Now, you can also go into, and one of the things that I'm actually glad I worked as a personal training counselor for LA Fitness for a little while, because I learned that, like, so I guess there's a pyramid that we used to always draw when we tried to get people to get a personal trainer, where at the top of it was food, in the middle of it was cardio, and then the bottom of it, the base of it, was strength.
Right.
We put food at the top because food is like one of the most inconsistent things that we will ever do. You have some days where, like, even me personally, there are some days where I eat once. I might eat twice. I might have a great day and eat 4 times like a responsible adult should.
Right.
That ain't happening often.
Right.
So food is one of those flimsy things where we always flake on. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. Cardio, it's in the middle because it's important, but it's only beneficial when you're actually doing it. Mm-hmm. I ain't got time to live on a treadmill, nor do I want to.
Right.
And then strength is the base, because if you build lean muscle, that muscle needs to feed on something.
Right.
So, and by something, it's going to pull from calories, like it's going to pull from everywhere it can in your body to repair the muscles that you've torn when you're at the gym. Right. So what I would say to him is a lot, like, just initially, just get in the gym, homie. Like I'm not finna tell you to just, drop everything, only eat chicken, only eat rice, and and get up 5 days a week. I'm like, just go to the gym. Let's get consistent at that.
Get consistent at, like, figuring out what it is. Free weights to
just get that going for yourself. Then we can start. And once again, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not gonna be. I don't want to.
Okay.
Because when people have a personal trainer, they also want a nutrition and so on and so forth. And there's so much that goes into it, where if I were to do so, I would have to and want to put in the time and the years and all, just actually be good at what I'm doing to where I can give someone the treatment one of my trainers gave me out here. Her name was Mackenzie, and like, so she watched me squat or whatever, and from watching me do 2 reps, she spotted, okay, your core is weak.
Right.
I spotted that because this is happening with your lower back at this point in time or whatever. And so we spent the first 4 weeks just strengthening my core alone. Yeah. Which made it easier for me to do those heavier lifts, and I was in a better position when it came time to do so, as opposed to risking hurting myself. Because to me, that is legit somebody putting their life in your hands when they make you their personal trainer. Right. Because one wrong thing, and like injuries can happen even if you're being perfect. Right. But let me not add to the risk by not being knowledgeable and actually being good at what I'm doing. But the principle, the main things that apply: get in the gym consistently. You can do that, definitely. Right. If you want to get a trainer, I say get one. You know what I'm saying? But at least do that. Then you can start going, okay, cool. I usually eat McDonald's 4 days a week, right? Cool. Let's see if we can cut that down to 3. Right. Make life feel like I would encourage that just to make life easy, because what you don't want to do is burn somebody out. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like give them something they can do, something real simple, something easy. Yeah. So if you let me try to be more direct. So if you, sir, hit me up on Instagram, it's like, hey, yo, I want to lose 30 pounds. What I got to do? Right. First thing I'm gonna say is, homie, just get in the gym consistently. At some point, we do need to track or figure out what you're eating and how much you're eating. So you can download something called MyFitnessPal. Yeah. And you can put in what you're eating. Exactly. And you can put in what your calories are. Right. Let's try to eat less than that now. So if you're eating 3,500 calories a day, let's see, can we cut that back to 3,000? Can you do that for me consistently? Yeah. Something like that or whatever. And then let it go from there. And then when I can no longer help him, I will gladly be like, hey, yo, this is all I know, but I can send you off to this influencer here who I know, who I believe in, who I support or whatever. Okay. Be it Jeff Cavalier or whoever else it is. Like, I have no issue, I guess, quote unquote, losing a follower. Like, no, like, because chances are one, that person's going to want to support me for being real with them in the first fucking place. Totally. Like, let's be real about it. Right. So that's the route I would take. And then if he took the route of, okay, well, I want to look like you, I'm like, okay, well, chances are, homie, that's going to be impossible, because we got 2 different sets of genetics, 2 different DNAs going on right now. We might look somewhat similar to each other, but us looking exactly alike is going to be impossible.
Yeah. So what that makes me think too, that, so it's like TikTok personality, like fitness influencer, you would say, right? Like, is that what you would
yes.
maybe accept?
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I'll accept
and
that one.
Actor, artist as well. Like, yeah, where do you see yourself going down the line with this? You seem to have a lot of passions. And so,
I do.
Right. And that's awesome. And I think a lot of people that listen to this podcast and a lot of people that I talk to as creative people, they have a lot of different interests and passions. They have a lot of different things that go along with like, I'd love to do this, but I also really love this. And I want to, it's like, where do you see yourself going with this and how to tackle all those things? And like, of course we all don't know, but like, where do you see that, your path so far?
My path, honestly, I feel like it's one of those things where personally, I want to be somebody who makes it all work. Like, cause you'll bump into people where they'll say, hey, like, do this one thing first, only do this one thing, and then maybe eventually branch into other stuff. Like if you're gonna be a gamer, play Call of Duty or game only. Right. Don't vlog. I'm like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna do everything. And now if I have to separate them all, I'm gonna do it that way. So that's. I want to shift Instagram more towards fitness and like Muay Thai, anything around that realm or whatever. Yeah. But eventually I'm going to smash them all together, but I'm going to do all of them at the same time. I just got to put in the work and actually buckle down. And
it's a lot of work.
Hey, somebody got to do it.
Someone got to do it.
Ain't nothing been done until it's been done.
Yeah, man. So that's the thing. It's impressive that you're able to do all that, because like I'm with starting this podcast and everything, and like we're trying to we're also like reaching out and do that things too. I'm like, all right, I need to just like get on Facebook and Instagram more and post more myself, just as like trying to also be like a personality, you could say, even on there, right? Even though like the podcast is like a singular thing, it's like I'm an individual on the podcast, and I'm just like, and I'm so not technology inclined, social media inclined, so I'm just kind of like, okay, I need to make this post, like I'll post it now, and then it's like someone makes a comment on it, and I'm like, I should comment back, but now I'm like, okay, I gotta go, I'm doing this thing over here, and it's so hard for me sometimes. It is work. It is something that you have to train yourself to do, as far as keeping on that curriculum and actually using that as your job. Right, you have to like, all right, suck up and do it. You have to be there for it, right?
Have to. Man, that's just the only way that's gonna work. And so I gotta stay on my own ass about that, and not slack off. If nothing else, like even like dance stuff. Like I know I'm gonna be dancing. I can throw dance on TikTok. Yeah, I can throw. Like I can just. It's just making that choice to. I think it's that simple. Yeah, it's as simple as like. Say if we were just sitting here shooting the shit, right? Right. And then I had an idea, or I can go, I can record this and post this. It's actually making the decision to just do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's what a lot of it is going to be. Just go ahead and making that decision to go, okay, all right, let me go ahead and do it. Whatever. I'll go ahead and do it. Like, and then I think after a while it becomes habit. It becomes easy to just make that decision to go ahead and push through it.
That's exactly right. I think that's exactly it. It's like, it's about kicking yourself in the ass sometimes and saying like, nope, come on, bitch. Yeah. Get up and do it.
Keep going.
Get your fat ass up and do it. Right. And either that and or accountability. Like if I got like real friends or like people that I love and that I watch or whatever, and I'm not watching them to learn or take from them. I'm not around them to learn or take from them or just sort of have some sort of clout or whatever. But if I see my homeboy busting his ass, I'm like, okay, well, fuck, I can't slack off now. Like I gotta at least match that. Right. You know what I'm saying? I think having that circle around you. Like what's the quote? You are the average or the sum total of the people you hang around or something like that. Yeah. Or if you hang around 5 billionaires, you're gonna be the fifth one. Like something like just having those people around you, or at least in your gaze. Yeah. That you're like, okay, cool. You know what? Let me not slack off too. Like let me make sure I step my game up and at least keep up with that. And it ends up being this thing where y'all are feeding off each other. Well,
that's exactly getting back to community and everything too, right? It's like we are such communal beings, and like. I don't know.
You said communal, and I thought of a toilet. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That too. I mean, like
Warren, we did share a communal toilet for a while.
We did indeed.
I gotta say, I think I resonate a lot with what you just said, man. Like I spent a lot of time in New York here. Well, I've lived in New York for 2 years, but being away from that, like that circle that I'd been around in college with Warren and Spencer and the core ensemble and all these people that I was used to working around, and it was really tough for me to find my own flow after that, because my flow always involved like, oh, I'm going to bounce an idea off of Warren, or I'm going to bounce an idea off of Spencer, and then we're going to talk about it, and then like one of them might take that idea and do something with it, or all have a more like synchronized version, and then we also had that accountability aspect. We're like, oh, let's set a date when we're going to do the show, and now we have a date, and now we're doing this, and it was like, because we had 3 people all working, 3 or more. I mean, we had a bunch of folks, but like because we had that like that tight group all working towards one goal, it was so much easier. It felt like it was almost doing the work instead of like an option. It just felt automatic. It was like an automatic like compulsion to do it, rather than like this like, oh, like if it's only for me and I'm only accountable to myself. I know that personally I have a lot of trouble getting disciplined. That's real. But if it's someone else, but if it's someone else, and I know that like it's not just my ass on the line, it's everyone, it's this project, it's everything. There's no question in my mind as to like, oh, should I, shouldn't I, or I could wait, I could put it off till tomorrow. It's like, no, like we're doing it. Like people are counting on you, and it's much harder, I'd say, to count on yourself. So yeah.
I agree.
I don't know. That's kind of.
I agree completely. Like it's so much easier. Like right now, even this moment here, it's inspiring and helping me or whatever. Because like me and Warren talked about it actually on tour. Like me having this idea for a podcast. Actually, it's sort of similar to y'all's.
Oh, okay, great.
And the fact that I haven't even touched it, I haven't moved towards it at all. Like, granted, I could use the excuse of, okay, I've been working on TikTok, so on and so forth, or whatever.
Right.
But still, me having this idea and not even, making any progress towards it, or not, doing anything. It's just like, okay, cool. Like, that's the thing of like me being by myself, or only having myself to be accountable for, I guess. It's like, I can put it off. It'll happen eventually. This sort of weird thing or whatever.
Sometimes you need that person, sometimes you need that person to be like, hey, I want to do this thing. I'm passionate about, do this thing. Can you just call me every day and just say like, hey, what's your progress on that?
Yeah.
What are you doing here? All right. Did you do any work on it? Well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not do anything on it? Right? Yeah. Like what's holding you back right now? Oh, there's
still a couple hours in the day.
Right, exactly. There's this and this I'm doing and all this. It's like, no, bitch, what?
Yeah,
like, go,
exactly.
Go and get that thing. You said to me the other day you
said
wanted
it was happening.
that thing.
You said it,
And it's one of those things too, is like with as a community, and like I think about this a lot, just like what, because there's like the relationship community of like our friends and family and things like that, but then also as a country as well. And like I think I was thinking about this with like the idea of like a renaissance and whatever, because I do think we're coming onto it, the idea of like a artistic awakening, because of all the strife and crisis that's happening.
Oh, it's gonna be insane when it kicks back in.
But one of the things I was wondering is like, I wonder if it's gonna be 2 Americas. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, cause I don't want that, cause I do love this country. I do. And I want what's best for it. And I think that, and I know some amazing people here, and people that have, especially with someone who served, you know what I mean? Serving for this country, that fight a lot to protect it.
Right.
People are kind of dividing off into like 2 different groups right now. And it's like really, I mean, like I want to be able to find ways to bring people together. Cause like, growing up here in Idaho and then moving to Seattle, I know good people that are conservative people. I know great liberal people. I know people that actually a lot of their views are the same thing, but just because they live in 2 different areas, they fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
And but like I wonder, it's like when these kind of things happen, and this kind of thing repeatedly happens, with police brutality has always been coming up, especially when especially now that we're able to record these events and everything too, which I'm glad that that's happened. I'm glad that these police officers that fucked up are going to jail. I'm glad they are being.
Absolutely.
But like, part of my other concern, especially now with the virus still going around too, and all these people protesting.
I love how we haven't even heard about the virus as much now.
It's just gone away, and it's like, no, it's still such a big threat around here too, But like, part of me is like concerned. Like, I don't know what you guys think of just like the divide happens so much that we become basically 2 different
You know, in all honesty,
you know?
man, like I've had that thought for a while now. Like back with the Eric Garner situation and all the other incidents or whatever, just like feeling like another civil war is brewing.
Yeah.
And just not knowing how it's gonna play out or what would happen or so on and so forth. Or even back when I was in the military, what side would I fall on?
Right.
It's like, okay, like
Sure.
like and it was one of the things that I sort of was conflicted with at times or whatever, like where I felt like by me wearing the uniform, I was condoning or supporting or enabling all these things that are happening. Honestly, man, I don't know. I feel like of course, the positive person in me wants to believe that. No, like,
right.
we're going to push through, it's going to be fine, so on and so forth. But also the realist in me knows that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people have to legit want to or see a reason to change.
Yeah.
Or to change how they see things or whatever. And there are a fuck ton of just stubborn and angry and ornery people. Like, there are a lot of them. I don't know, man. I guess we can say like we've made a bunch of progress so far, so there's no reason why it won't continue.
That's what I'm hopeful for too.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know, man. That's a real thing.
It's just gnarly, man. I'm just like, you know, the pandemic was one thing, like the virus was one thing, and that was already dividing so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I was talking to this one woman in Arizona when I was with my parents over there who thought the virus was a hoax. Who thought that?
There are still those who do.
And I'm like, yo, like, you need to talk to my buddy Nick, who lives in Brooklyn right now. You know what I mean? Like,
it's real over there.
Yeah,
it is, and it's very real over here. It's very real.
It's the most real in New York City, and so it's like there's. It's just that you can curate your information that you get, and our tribal mentalities are so big and like in our brains that we have to learn how to understand that we have that, and to be like, okay, am I using that part of my brain right now? Am I being tribal right now in the sense of like, even with these police officers in like New York City going around and like spray painting, like not spray painting, but pepper spraying people, even though they're like walking away or something like that. It's because they're in a fucking.
It's that pack.
You're in a pack.
When one goes, we all go.
Yeah,
it's definitely a thing.
And we're all wearing all this shit and everything. They could be a good guy, but sometimes if you don't think, you're like, these people are the enemy.
Falling into
And it's like, well, motherfucker, that's actually a human being right there.
Yeah.
That's not inciting violence or anything like that. They're actually just fighting for a cause.
Yeah.
And you just made this even worse.
Yeah, exactly. You did not help. You just hurt you. You just gave that. Let's say it could be that one person who you sprayed for no reason.
Yeah.
That then angers somebody else enough to actually turn that peaceful protest into a full-blown riot.
Violent act.
Exactly.
Right.
Like it's like there's so many things that can go wrong and due to that whole pack mentality. But you also brought up what you said brought up this whole idea of like between community and like how we think and feel or whatever. It also is a fair amount to do with the media.
Oh,
like,
dude, absolutely.
And I think by fair, I'm going to say majority, because, and once again, I didn't know that this was a thing until I found out it was a thing, as far as like different media, like news outlets, like be it CNN or MSNBC or whatever else there is, or Fox or whatever, have their agendas. They legit will write something this way, and then the other one writes it another way, and then either one leaves out details for the sake of spreading this particular message. So then the question becomes, can we flip that? Because the ones who are still in power want things to continue to go the way they've been going.
Absolutely.
So,
I think it's time that we start seeing like media as a right and as something that is like that is necessary for like a stable society. That some like having an arbiter of truth is like so important. And even with all of those news outlets, you know, all of them are owned by billionaires, right? Who are trying to push their own thing. So like if a certain message is spread, that billionaire some way or somehow is going to make more money because people think this way, you know? And so like we need to start having like, I don't know what the solution is, but like if there was like a nonprofit media station out there, like that media station then hopefully would not be like tied to some billionaire, you know, or
they solely exist to point out the facts. They solely exist.
Exactly.
Right. That'd be dope.
And like I'd say like NPR is really good at that, but then at the same time it is the national public radio. Like it's still owned by the state.
But then you also have to ask, how many people actually want the truth, because then like it's the same thing with like the fact that more negative news gets more views and clickbait or whatever and numbers than positive stuff. Yeah. So like, do people actually really even want that?
Dude, there was actually like a thing that came out like about Facebook with their algorithms. God,
English is hard,
but it was just English is hard. But with the algorithm, I'm not gonna not use that word anymore. But where the more angry reactions a post gets, that's what get boosted than any other reaction that's on there, like a love or care or whatever.
It's been that way forever. Like
Truly.
Legit, like people want to see drama. Like
that goes into us as artists too, right? It's like we fucking love that shit. You know, we've been watching people tell stories about this shit forever. So it's like, oh, now it's like the fucking world of like the artistic stage, and the audience is now being like all mixed up like that. And so you're like, I'm looking at all this. It's
crazy, man.
You know, it's all mixed up. And so like, how do you fix that? You know,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think there is maybe an answer even, you know?
So, and that's so true. Like there's so many things that could be done and that we want to do, and so many ideas that like we can sit here for umpteen hours and come up with different ideas.
I get my whiskey now.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of want some.
Okay.
Ooh, let me see what I've got here in the
fridge. But no, like it's. No, like we can sit here for forever and come up with so many different ideas, and it means fuck all if we can't get other people, and by other people I mean the majority, behind it and to actually want it. And as history and numbers continue to show, people want bullshit, people want drama, people want the dumb shit that ain't gonna help nobody.
Yeah, or the things that keep reinforcing their already held beliefs, whether or not they're wrong. Like, people just want to hear that they're right.
Yeah.
And that's, it's part of like the cancer, I think, that's like eating away at the fabric of society. Okay, that's the last time I use a sentence like that today.
Eating away at the fabric of society.
Oh my God.
I like it. You can use it.
Oh man, I can like steam is coming out of my ears. It's like too much is going on up there right now. Okay. I have one very much different question to ask you about TikTok that I wanted to ask you. How do you make a joke for TikTok? Like, you only have a certain number of like seconds to make a joke. How do you fit or organize the information so that it works for that sort of
you cut the fuck out
platform.
Of it. You cut the fuck out of it. So the most you can do is 60 seconds, right?
Okay. Okay. Cool.
That's good. All right. So you only get 60 seconds max. So you can either like you end up doing basically what our director did. You cut it. You go, okay, cool. Well, I don't need this particular 3 seconds.
Right.
Or also what makes it easier, or what makes it so you don't even have to be as detailed, or say, rather than put in like introductions, or say, you know, like say if I were to cut it and go, hey Warren, so on and so forth, I can just have me talking and put my name and edit it in as a text. Yeah. And then put Warren, or put whatever character's name is that way. So one, I've already taken out the introduction. Or when I with the whole when mom's finna trip video, I could have taken the route of record myself doing a selfie when you know mama finna trip, and then go into the actual clip, or I can just write it in as the caption. So
okay, so you save yourself seconds that way. Yeah.
Yep.
Every second's precious.
Every second's precious, and so the more things that I can actually fit, or the way I'm feeling about it right now, or just to reinforce what I'm saying, the more stuff that I can fit into captions. Like, for example, like with the response where he goes, you know, hey, what's wrong with mama? Right. Like, just write the words in. Just write the words in. If people want to read it, they can pause it, or like, I feel like that's enough time for it to be read, or at least once again, it's only 15 seconds, so they can just watch it again if they missed it. They feel like they missed something. I do it all the time. I'll run a video back like, oh, that's what it said. Like, it's a thing. So I feel like the more that you can let be known without having to say it verbally, the better off you are.
Yeah, it's like using that video, like, or even it's like show don't tell kind of a thing, you know? Like, exactly.
I think
that's
so.
great.
I think it helps me.
Okay.
And then once again, and then if you have to just keep cutting it. Like you can go in and edit like different clips. So say like if I record it, and what I've started doing, is like I'll record, like you can set it to only record say 7 seconds, right? And then you can do 8, and you can do 3, you can do 1.2, and then when you go in to edit behind it, it'll there's one option that says adjust clips.
Right.
And so that 7 seconds, say the first 2 of it was me getting in place, I can cut that down now.
Yeah.
Like I can trim each clip individually.
Right.
Right. Which then once again is more time or whatever, stuff like that. So
yeah.
That's
great. Yeah, just cut the hell out of it. Yeah, it's great.
Cut the fuck out of it.
Just fucking go for it. Yeah.
Cut it up.
Okay, I have one more rapid fire question for
Okay.
you. This is the most important question of the
Oh
night
shit, I'm scared.
so far. So, how about them aliens? I think you said you were Air Force, right? You know better than anybody here. How about them aliens? Tell me about it.
Right.
Hey man, look, that is very much above my pay grade. And if they are there, I don't trust the government to not feed me to them right now. So, so I don't know nothing about them aliens. The only aliens I want to see are the ones that come here for us. Those are the only ones that I want to see.
You don't want to be the alien.
Copy that.
I don't want the government introducing me to shit. Let them come invade us, and I'll meet them.
I think you're the first person I've ever heard that perspective from.
Jerrell is pro alien. I love it.
Yeah.
He's like, let's go. Let's get invaded already. I'm ready for it.
That's the only thing that's gonna unfuck us.
Yeah,
Like we
right.
need alien invasion or a zombie apocalypse. That's the only thing that's gonna
Please
save us.
take the reins. We've ruined them. Like, yeah.
Well, is it like that's what's that Latin? The Deus Ex Machina or something like that. Like
Deus Ex
Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina, right? Where it's like, yeah, they're the saving grace for us. Why not?
That's all we got.
I'd love that.
We good.
You know what I mean? That's cool.
Hopefully they like me enough to where they don't kill me outright. If they do kill me, less stuff I got to think about. Either way, it's a win-win.
That's hilarious. I love that. So shit, like that freaks me out all the time too. I think about that with aliens. It's nuts.
I'm fucking with it. Like, please.
Right.
Because also there's a part of me
I'm
that
ready.
like maybe it's because I play too many video games. Maybe it's because I'm in anime too much where I think aliens are gonna be hot as fuck. Like of course they're the ugly races, but I'm hoping to find ones that invade us. Like maybe that's a part of it. Y'all are learning way too much about me right
There's
now.
ugly races. You're saying like that. I'm just gonna say for the aliens out there who watch this video later on,
All of y'all are beautiful.
there are no ugly races.
Did you fucking lie to them?
Every race.
Have you seen the Krogans off of Mass Effect? Have you seen the Krogans? They are not attractive.
Are you
at
being
all.
specious right now?
Yes, I have. I'm calling that shit as it is. I'm being honest right now.
They're gonna get so much hate like 20 years from now when it's a totally
When the aliens do invade.
At that point, that's fair. I guess it would be my problem then.
Yeah, right.
Well, hopefully the fine ones think I'm fine enough and they come protect me.
Well, your alien wife's gonna find
go.
this and she's gonna be like, "What'd you say about me?"
No. But if she's my wife, that means she's fine. So
Right.
she appreciates
There
me.
you
She
go.
appreciates you, but
We
she's gonna
good.
find like,
She'll
"What
know.
you talking about? You're talking about my race like that?" She's like,
Baby, your race descended from God himself.
"That's
yes. Dude, you've been practicing these lines.
I know,
I can tell. You think about this a lot, Jerrell. You're like, well, if they're my wife, they're already very sexy. and
Right, like legit.
I've already played out this scenario a couple times and just by myself.
I'm already
I know what I'd
set.
say.
You know, her species is more superior, so when the ugly ones do come, they
That's
can't
right.
beat me. They can't fuck with us. So we're good.
we're all fine. We're all fine here."
Yeah, you obviously know how to pick them, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
See, look at this.
Trying to get research. Yeah,
I'm good.
that's hilarious.
Wow.
Well, so with
That
all
went
that,
so far left. Go ahead.
right? I think, like, so our last question that we kind of like to ask, and like we always dance a little bit around as we're going through the podcast, but like,
Of course.
if you can foresee, just like as a creative, as a person that you are, as far as what the greatest positive change, which is hard for what we are doing, what
What's
we are
happening?
presently in
Experiencing
right now.
Yeah.
What could you see as the greatest positive change that can come from this moment right now? What yeah, where do you see that?
It's funny you brought this up because I was thinking about this on the way over here. I think the most positive thing is the ugly truth being painted.
Yeah.
Like at some point, people have to be aware of the pain of other people,
Right.
Be it men, be it women, be it black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever it is. At some point, we all got to be aware of each other's plight.
Right.
So that way we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was also thinking about, like the idea of the, I guess, right and wrong way to protest. How, of course, there's the peaceful marching that Martin Luther King did. There is Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. That didn't work. That upset people.
And how prophetic that kind of ended up being, which is fucked, but yeah.
And so, or like I remember, rest in peace, Kobe, the Lakers or whatever, they had "I Can't Breathe" on their shirts or whatever.
Right.
And people had a problem with that. Don't bring your politics and personal beliefs to the sports. No, keep it like so there's no right or wrong way. So I feel like, and so with the situation here, I was previously in the camp of, okay, rioting is not the right way to do it.
Right.
But now I'm also in a place of, okay, well, what the fuck is the right way?
Right.
Like if this ends up being the thing that it gets enough eyes and it's just bad enough that it ends up being a evil for a greater good.
Yeah.
Then I guess it was the right way.
In that way too, like as far as like an arbiter of truth or something like that, as we were talking about like different media outlets, part of me just kind of, along with what you're saying, is like, what if just us as a worldwide community, just that is our arbiter of truth, right? Where it's like someone posts, well, it's in the sense of like, right, where one of the things that's been huge about this, so like Eric Gardner, for instance, right? Like the police officer still hasn't gotten like charged with anything from what I know of. The original, it's like because they threw in like heart issues or whatever thing that went into it.
His disposal.
So all those years ago, right? What happened? Where it's like, he had a heart attack from being fucking choked out. Anyway,
like legit. Like 8 people just jumped on me. Yes, I'm fucking panicking right now.
Yeah. But anyway, so like that's what that was.
Yeah.
But with what happened with George Floyd and that these police officers and like that the original officer that actually had his name, he's that motherfucker fucking in jail.
So like the thing that bothered me the most about that video,
good riddance,
was just how fucking calm and just cold he was about it.
Yeah,
like nothing at all.
And all the other officers too. In that
even
situation,
to the point where
like, whoa,
this man body went limp and you were still there with your knee on his neck for an additional 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
If someone's not moving, I don't need to be here no more. I can stand up now. Like even at that point, I would say once again, he's handcuffed and face down. He's not really a threat. On top of that, you got backup there. So that in itself is enough for you to fall the fuck back.
Right.
But now let's go to the point. This man went limp. He's no longer resisting. He's no longer a problem. He's no longer a threat. And you're still there?
Yeah.
Like once again, so it's that shit there, and I did my best not to get worked up about this because I get headaches. I caught a headache earlier about it or whatever, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, it's worth it. It means enough, and it's bothering me enough to where I gotta address it for myself.
Yeah. Well, and the fact though that like because now we're in a mode, now we're starting to realize the power that we have as human beings with social media, with a camera on us all the time to keep these people that are in these positions of power accountable, right? Like that just amazes me that they like that with Ahmaud Arbery, you know what I mean too. Like those guys, I believe they're fucking getting charged as well. It's like this is at a rapid speed. So even this is progress, even though it's
it's very unfortunate. It's fucked up, but
But that's what we need to be done. That's what we've been wanting for before this, where it's like, let's get these people charged. Let's get these people in jail. Let's lock these fuckers up.
Can I be honest?
Tell me. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest real quick.
Yeah, please.
There's a part of me, and by part of me, I feel like a good 70, maybe 80% of me.
Yeah.
That feels like had there not been cameras, that nothing would have happened.
People
wouldn't have looked at it. It wouldn't have been investigated. It would have been like the wrong place, wrong time, or we don't know all the details. Like it would have been all the things that have taken place.
Yeah.
Even moments where we didn't get justice. Had the camera not been on that man and just you could see just how much he didn't give a shit.
Right.
Nothing would have happened.
I agree.
And to me, for me being a black man, that shit is scary as fuck.
Right.
And even the fact that there have been so many incidents where there are cameras, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what can we do? So
Yeah.
Like just circling back to your thing, I feel like the only positive is the fact that people are gonna be at some point, people are gonna have to be forced to listen to everybody's plight.
Yeah.
And since we're playing right now,
right,
at some point, like that's the positive. People are seeing the pain and the frustration.
Yes.
And it's spreading like wildfires. Like I remember,
it's ignited the nation.
The
like,
entire nation. It's crazy. Like I remember,
instant.
like of course, like I think with the Eric Garner thing, like it was more pocketed up north or whatever, like riots and so on and so forth.
You know,
but
there's
now,
outrageous little bits,
outrageous
everywhere,
here and there. But like,
know.
dude, like Seattle, of course, where it happened, L.A.
Yeah.
I looked at a video this morning of Birmingham, my hometown,
right,
flipping out last night. It's
right.
like it's happening everywhere. And once again, the question becomes, okay, well, people keep pointing out the wrong way to protest. What's the right way? And ain't nobody said nothing yet.
Yeah.
So if this ends up being the right way, then I ain't got shit to say. We good.
Right.
Yep.
It's like how to get that effect in there, you know, and
insanity is to do the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah. Right.
So we got to switch it up. Got to switch it up.
Yeah, and that's within me too. Is like because I also have a friend that's been posting about like how he used to live in Minneapolis, right? And he's like, well, I know Black business owners that are getting looted and shit like that, where it's like that's a whole other thing. But it's also like my position is like, yeah, we've tried so many different times of peaceful protests and POC people, Black people doing different peaceful protests and also being shot down. All these examples that you were giving, and it's like now this happens. The main thing I'm just focusing on as far as like the progress, and I think the positivity that we're talking about is within an instant, we got Derek, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
That officer. He's charged for murder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that they're on their way to getting the other police officers down there too. Same thing with the McDonald's or whatever the fuck they are as well. Yeah. And I think even same thing with Breonna Taylor and stuff too. Like it's like these injustices will not stand. Yeah. And I think this might be the way where it's like where we all are each other's arbiters of truth. And it's like this is plastered all throughout the web. So let's get these people in prison because that's not the right way to behave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, like that this seems to be as fucked up as it is. It seems to be the only positive.
Right.
At least people are somewhat paying attention now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Man, I know it's kind of on a serious note, but it's but I mean it's a somber time, right?
Yeah,
and
it's real.
But Jerrell, thank you for your insight on this. Thank you for talking to us with everything.
Yeah, man.
It's been awesome having you on the podcast, brother. Thank you.
It was fun, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been great.
Good. I know we got
a good time.
Good time.
Good.
Yeah. So we look forward to having more conversations with you too. We're trying to get this going to, be able to bring positivity and a vision for the future into this world. And I think this conversation really helps. So thanks for coming on, man. Seriously.
Absolutely, man. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all. This has been great. It's been fun.
Yeah.
A lot of laughs. A lot of moments I probably shouldn't have spoke about, aka aliens, but it's fine. Y'all know a little bit too much about me right now.
We gotta have a little bit of controversy.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it is, right? Sexy aliens.
Y'all know a little too much about me right now.
Good.
Do not search my internet history.
Right. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, man. Thanks for coming by, everybody. So long. Peace.
Okay, take it easy.
Wow, what an awesome conversation. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast and to listen to what Jerrell has to say. It was so cool having him on.
Yeah, thank you so much. We had an amazing time making this podcast. Personally, that was my first time talking with Jerrell, and what an individual. I feel so blessed to have had that conversation. And, I think, I don't know. Yeah, I plan on being friends with Jerrell after this, honestly. That was really, really cool. He seems like such a cool guy, and I hope you guys thought so too.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we talked about in the podcast itself, there's so much unrest going on right now in this country and across the world now because of what happened in this country. And, we have a couple of organizations that's in the link below for you guys to look at. A couple of those is let me look them up. I'm just pulling them up. One, there's, for all the people that were involved and the families involved with these killings that happened recently. So Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd. all those GoFundMe pages. We'll have those links in the bio below.
Yep.
A couple other organizations that we want to give a shout out to, because those GoFundMe pages have so many donations already, which is awesome. So if you feel like, all right, let's donate to some other causes, we'll attach those in here too.
Absolutely.
So the community's united against police brutality, right? Keeping police accountable through videos, through having a crisis hotline. That's what they stand for. We also have the National Bail Fund that we're giving a shout out to too, because they're helping make bail for a lot of people that are being arrested during these protests or doing peaceful protests.
Yep.
And that's really important, as well as the Black Visions Collective over in Minneapolis. So we'll attach those links to them and how you can donate to them and support them below. But this is the time that we all need to come together as a community, and we just want to give these shout outs to them. We're going to be donating to them. We hope that you guys go and support them too.
We love you guys so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And as Papa Don't Preach would say, lead with love.
Lead with love. Absolutely. All right, bye everybody. See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.